Hello, I'm Dr. Richard Scott Noakes, and this is the mini lecture for the Ancient Egyptian Poetry. I'd like to read a poem to you, and as I'm reading this poem to you, I'd like you to think about the kind of young woman who wrote this poem, and try to think about what kind of person she is. The poem is called Love, How I'd Love to Slip Down to the Pond. Love, how I'd love to slip down to the pond, bathe with you close by on the bank. Just for you, I'd wear my new Memphis swimsuit, made of sheer linen, fit for a queen. Come see how it looks in the water. Couldn't I coax you to wade in with me? The cool creeps slowly around us. Then I'd dive deep down and come up for you dripping. Let you fill your eyes with the little red fish that I'd catch. And I'd say, standing there tall in the shallows, look at my fish, love, how it lies in my hands, and my fingers caress it, slip down its sides. But then I'd say softer, eyes bright with your seeing, a gift, love, no words, come closer and look, it's all me. Now, I often will teach this, at the very beginning of a semester. I will have the students read this, and I'll often ask them what they think of this person. And very quickly they determine that it's a young girl who is in love with a man. And at first they think that maybe she's very aggressive, but soon they realize that if they read closely, they find that she's not aggressive at all. This is someone who wants the attention of a man, but doesn't have his attention. It says, love, how I'd love to slip down to the pond. She hasn't actually done this. And if we read through the poem, we find again and again references to seeing and references to eyes and references to looking. We find that this young girl really wants to be noticed by the man. She wants him to see her. Now, when I teach this class, when I teach this to my classes, I generally tell them at the beginning that this was written by a creative writing student of mine. But it was not. This, in fact, is one of the Egyptian love poems that we have in our book. And it was written approximately 3,500 years ago, give or take about 300 years. Now, when we look at this, it seems to us very familiar. Of course, there's a familiar name, Memphis, but in this case, this is not Memphis, Tennessee, but rather Memphis, Egypt. But the girl is someone who we all recognize. Someone who wants the attention of a man, but cannot seem to get him to notice her. And so in her mind, she fantasizes about behaving in very aggressive ways to get his notice, but she can't. And we look here again. Let me read this to you again. Love, how I'd love to slip down to the pond, bathe with you close by the bank. Just for you, I'd wear my new Memphis swimsuit, made of sheer linen, fit for a queen. Come see how it looks in the water. Couldn't I coax you to wade in with me? The cool creeps slowly around us. Then I'd dive down, deep down, and come up for you dripping. Let you fill your eyes, again with the seeing, with the little red fish that I catch. And I'd say, standing there tall in the shells, look at my fish, love, how it lies in my hand, how my fingers caress it, slip down its sides. But then I'd say softer, eyes bright with your seeing. Her eyes are bright because he finally sees her. A gift, love, no words, come closer and look, it's all me. And the reason I begin with this is because often the literature that we see is both about the universal and the particular. The particulars of her life are the particulars of the life of a young girl who lived 3.5 millennia ago in ancient Egypt. But in other ways, these are universal feelings. You can go to any high school and find girls expressing this idea to themselves in their journals or in their diaries. One of the things I think that separates us from the study of ancient literature is that when we look at it, we think, this was written a long time ago by people who are dead, who live far away, who are nothing like me. But I think when we examine it, we begin to find that they were very much like us. And that this literature stands the test of time because it has something to say to us. Now, to get to our very first discussion board prompt. The prompt is, many commentators have noted similarity between Akhenaten's hymn to the sun and Psalm 104 from the Old Testament. What can we make of these similarities? And I want you to get just beyond saying, yes, this is similar, yes, here's where it's similar, here's where it's not similar. But instead, I want you to examine the ways in which these ancient Egyptians who, at the point when this poem, when the hymn to the sun was being written, were moving away temporarily from polytheistic worship of many gods to focusing on one god, to maybe deciding that Aten, a sun god, was the god, that the sun was the god, and moving toward monotheism, moving toward the worship of a single god. How do we imagine what a single god is like? A single powerful God who rules over all of the earth. So this is your discussion word prompt, and I'd like you to answer it in as thoughtful a way as possible.